With this movie, we'll go ahead and finish off how we employ a head turn action into an animation, and then look at where all the parts fall because they may not occur exactly where you think. In the preceding movie, we had gone ahead and set up our actions for both facing forward and left turn. We also inserted keyframes for facing forward at timeline 1 and timeline 24. Now, at timeline 36, I'll go ahead with the bot head top layer selected. I'll choose left turn and insert that. We see the character's behavior change right here. The eyes have moved over. All the changes we made are showing now. But you'll notice that we don't have any functionality right here of the bolt coming ahead. That's because I forgot to implement the bot head layer option as well as the option within the program itself. So let's come over here to the bot head layer. I will double click that and open the options. We'll come to depth sort, sort by layers. I'll choose OK. Then we'll come to File, Project Settings, and engage Sort Layers by Depth, and choose OK. The bolt is now in front of the head. So when I come here to, say, frame 48, I'm going to go ahead and insert facing forward. And now the head's back and the bolt is behind the head. Let's go ahead and scrub the timeline and see what's going on. Now watch the bolt on the right side. You'll see it flip out there part way through that. The program itself kind of decides when that happens. It splits the distance between where we engaged the facing forward and where we engaged the left turn right at 36, and it just pops it in about halfway. Now it's just a move to the left and right because I didn't keyframe and hold that left facing view. And we can see one thing, this is where you make the little adjustments and tune-ups if you want to the actual action. The eyes, while they compress while they go over to the side, this one is coming closer to the camera bar a little bit and probably should be scaled. We can go ahead and open the actual left turn action and do that. But since we've added all these actions, we don't notice anything in the timeline right here. And this is where you might want to, when they're inserted, put in little markers for frame positions if you're animating that, or layer positions, to have a visual cue. But where did all this go? Well, let's go ahead and expand or click on our head layer, and we'll see here that we have got each of those keyframe areas added to the timeline. If we had the face doing something while it was turned, like having the eyes blink while they're over there, we could do that, and we might want to go ahead and try. You can go ahead and modify and refine these actions as you work. Same thing for the bolt left layer. We see the keyframes at 36 and 48 as we do for the bolt right. Let's go ahead and come back to the bot head layer. We'll come back here to frame 1. If we wanted to go ahead and change a little bit of what's going on, we can come to left turn, double click on it, select the head layer. I can go ahead and zoom in just a little bit. Keyboard shortcut G, I'll select this eye. Keyboard shortcut S for scale, and make it just a little bit bigger. So it's a little more reasonable when the head gets turned, and maybe it's compressed just a little too much, so I'll expand that out a little bit. We're at frame 1 here. If we wanted, we could go ahead and come to something like frame 24. We could go ahead and blink this down. We could also do the same thing here and make this blink for this eye. We'll scale that down. We'll move to, say, 30. I'm going to select these keyframes, copy, and at 30, paste. So now this action has its own little sub-animation going on. When we come back to the main timeline, we can see that this animation now extends through some of the behaviors that were going on or actions that we added at frame 48. So back at the bot head layer, when we go ahead and scrub the timeline, we'll see the character start to blink, but see how it pops back? That's where we could simply tune up the actions or the keyframing. We come back down here to head. We could very easily select these keyframes right here and drag them out to the end of this if we wanted, so we could get that full animation to play before the head comes back. So that's an easy way to start working with actions to work with head turns. Come back here. Obviously, the more complex the character and any special effects that you've got that we'll look at in an upcoming section, including blurring and shadows, would be carried forward, and that does extend render time a little bit, but holy cow, this saves so much time when you're working on animation. So that's again how you use actions to go ahead and create those effects in Anime Studio Pro.